by men. Hookup culture is being ignored largely by men. 90% of us are ignored by the majority of women, just like 90% of y'all women are ignored by the majority of men. You only want the top 10% of the breeding stock. That is what it's about. Good conformation, good health, good genetics. You want to pass on your genetic strain. Yeah, that's why your brains are hardwired, because you're animals. Yep. I mean, y'all human beings, not just women, not just men. All of you. My brain's wired a little bit differently, but not much. I always wanted to have kids. I just find the thought of sex revolting. One thing that always weirded me out as a child, going through that, surviving it, is how many women that I know who have told me that they had to go through similar things as a child and yet are completely and totally obsessed with and addicted to sex. When women connect with sex on an emotional level and men connect with sex on a physical level, you're a liar. You are a goddamn liar. Which men, which women? Which examples are you taking and which ones are you ignoring? Like when these man-hating women's only groups want to pretend that 47% of the time that the stalker is a male. 37% of the time the stalker is a female. Well, we're missing a big percentage there. Does that mean that there is a rather large proportion of trans men and women or hermaphrodites running around doing stuff? Because per capita, there ain't a whole heck of a lot of them. When we look at arrest records, we're looking at men being arrested and convicted at between a 6 and a 26 times more than women. Meanwhile, studies have shown that women are 11 times more likely to be stalkers than men, far more likely to engage in stalker activities with other women, and far more likely to get other people involved in their stalking. Obviously, the situation that I was in, I wasn't stalking anyone. I was trying to get help stopping assaults and threats. I was trying to get it so that I could see my friends and family, my supposed loved ones. People had claimed to love me, but showed they didn't. People like Joanna Taylor Smith. People like Natalie Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger. People like my older brother, Eric Christopher Schwartz. When Natalie and Alicia and Maddie decided that they wasn't my friends no more, that's fine. Just leave me alone. You don't have to go slandering my name or pretending I'm some sort of a fucking creepy bastard for doing what you asked me to. You can just simply leave me alone. That's fucking easy. Leave me alone. Now, obviously, after Natalie insisting that I go to Virginia, telling me she's going to kill herself if I'm not already on the way, and then wrapping her car around a fucking telephone pole. Yeah. I don't think you guys are quite understanding how psycho a woman is allowed to get if she doesn't get what she wants. She wanted me to stay in Colorado. She told me that she was only staying in Colorado because there's nothing else there for her. Then she wanted to pity party me into going and seeing her before she got on an airplane because she couldn't drive through. She wanted to pity party me to promise that I would come see her in Virginia or she wasn't getting on the airplane. Then she wanted to pity party me when I wasn't there fast enough and try to kill herself. What would you have done? You get to see how the evidence between Natalie Bollinger and I, it shows she was insistent that we go out on my birthday. She was insistent that I tell her what kind of a cake I wanted and what kind of a gift I wanted. Insistent. What I got was a broken phone from her sister and a leather guitar key fob. And a happy memory that was only happy for a moment. Just like me, Natalie wanted her family to love her right. But they didn't. My family didn't love me right. Natalie's family didn't love her right. But we did love each other right. The problem is she wanted acceptance. She wanted popularity. She wanted the kind of attention that her sister got. Alicia Bollinger was always the more popular of the two. And Natalie made mention of that more than once. She also made mention of the fact that she gave up everything for her sister, no matter what it was. She loved Alicia Bollinger enough to go along with whatever stupid shit Alicia Bollinger wanted to go along with. When they were fighting over a boy in Virginia, what do you think the chances are that Alicia won that? Pretty good. Natalie Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger were two completely different people. The person that Natalie became in Virginia over their faults, their mistakes, their assumptions, and their need to be accepted by their family, even at another person's expense. Their need to be loved and to get attention from people. It was more important that that remain untarnished than it was for them to tell the truth about me and about our situation. Me and Natalie didn't have a sexual relationship, and we never fucking dated. That wasn't by her choice, that was by mine. When she wanted to tell me she thought she was in love with me, I always sidestepped it. I'm not interested in that. But then we've also got a lot of predators I got to deal with. When I ask them a question, they ignore it. They want to answer a question by changing the subject with another question, or by outright changing the subject altogether. These things that you do, your behaviors, the things that you type, when you go out of your way to grossly misinterpret things, you're showing outright that you don't care about the individual. When they come to you for help and you want to tell them they just need to man up. When I went to my friends and my family to try to get help, how was I treated versus how Natalie was treated? When I was actually stalked by these people, how did my friends and family treat me? When Natalie pretended like I stalked her because she was embarrassed, and all of the evidence shows that we did what Alicia Bollinger wanted. It shows that both of them typed at me that they loved me every single day. It shows that me and Alicia Bollinger hung out nearly every day. She would get a hold of me on her cigarette breaks. She would get a hold of me on her lunch breaks. But you guys don't want to hear that. You want to pretend that I stalked Natalie to Virginia, and then I stalked her to Colorado. No, I was in Colorado first, motherfuckers. I went to Virginia because she pressured me to go there. And when I got there, her and her sister pressured me to do what they wanted. I did what they fucking wanted. With the exception of getting a place there because I didn't want to stay. I wanted to make sure Natalie was all right. I wanted to make sure that if her family pushed her to kill herself again, that she had somebody there who was an actual friend, instead of them boys that just wanted to get her drunk and try to fuck her. Or get really super fucking drunk and drive down the freeway as fast as you fucking can. Natalie Bollinger was in 3 accidents. 3 accidents just while I was in Virginia. What did I get for doing as I was asked? Doing as I was told. Following instructions. And caring about her as a human being. I had all of my boundaries completely walked over. I had all of my friends and family taken away due to slander. Had my safe environment that I could have gone to for support in this situation taken away due to slander from drug addicts like Maddie Boa, Natalie Bollinger, and Alicia Bollinger. And to this day, Alicia Bollinger has done everything that she can to have other people do her dirty work. People who have everything invested in hiding the way that they treated Natalie. How Natalie was treated when she went to her stepmother's for help, and her mother for help, was atrocious. I apparently lit a fire in my vehicle, and I can't find it. There it is. Let's hope it goes out here shortly. Ugh. Smells like cigarette butt. So we got this lady here, right? The one on the front picture. We should probably get to that, huh? So this lady has brain damage over being lusted after. Really? You're assuming everybody's lusting after you? Sorry, but your nicely plucked eyebrows and ooh face doesn't really do it for me. See, this is one of those things that's completely different. That's all in your head. Joanna Taylor Smith should learn something from this lady. That lady who wants to complain that being lusted after is giving her brain damage. Really? You want to try to pluck yourself up all pert and pretty. You want to try to make yourself look younger than you are so that maybe you can get a better man. You want to paint yourself up so that you look different than natural. You want to pretend that men are superficial while doing all of that. Well, you're only going to attract a superficial man. That's why you end up with superficial men. If you met him while you were wearing your jogging your jogging sweatpants and your jogging hoodie, or you're relaxed at the coffee shop and put your feet up, your lazy day outfit with no makeup, well then he might actually give a shit about you. It wouldn't be a competition. Of course, there's a lot of guys, when you ladies start getting real lonely and desperate, you also get horny, and then a guy who is not right for you, puts out a lot of business cards. That's what we're giving as advice. Man, it's a woman's world, Sean. Here's the thing about women. It's a lot like having a business. You put out 100 business cards, you might only get one person that comes back to your store. But if you never hand out the business cards, Nobody will ever come to your store. And one of those people that might not use your business card might run into somebody who needs it, needs that service. But if you never hand out the business card, so of course you ladies, you get them whoremongers is what we call them, or whorehounds. These are guys that basically just are really horny and want to have sex with just about anything. Most of them don't have any respect for you as a human being. You have a vagina, that's what they care about. Now, a lot of times, y'all ladies don't want to admit that you get lonely that much. You end up with one of those whorehounds that only gives a shit about your vagina. It's kind of the same thing as when you dress yourself up and make yourself into something you're not. You try to wear them high-heeled shoes so that it perks up your butt a little bit. You try to wear that padded bra so your chest looks a little bit bigger. You put on that eyeliner and you pluck your mustache and you pluck your eyebrows. And you make yourself try to look like a supermodel, and you get that guy who's into that. He's into superficial. He's into your looks. That's what he wants. And even a lot of the unattractive women that I know, they still want that attention. A fat woman with a pockmark-eaten face, what's to say she doesn't want to feel pretty or feel appreciated or told she's pretty? Between the pretty or the appreciated, which one is more important in our society? Projected by women themselves. How many people wanted to, after Natalie's death, type about how I look like a child molester and how poor her, she was so pretty, she was so beautiful. You didn't fucking know her. You're judging based on looks. And people hurt me based on those judgments. I was harmed without a court of law. Ever. The courts of law, the police, and the Bollingers saw fit to try to project me as a horrible person and harm me as much as possible. To deprive me of my resources. Deprive me of the ability to see my friends or family without threats, harassment, violence, or intimidation. These people want to threaten to kill me and my friends and family and pretend like I threatened to kill them. I never threatened to kill anyone in Alicia Bollinger's family except for her father. And that wasn't until well after Natalie was dead. That was after the bullshit that he and Alicia Bollinger pulled at my grandma's funeral. Playing head games. That was the third time that Ted Bollinger had fucked with me using other people's safety. And that the police had taken part and assisted in it. Assisted in helping my predators to get away, but then again, so did Graham Milbourne. By talking out his ass when he slept through the whole goddamn thing. The same way as Laura Nelson helped them to get away. By doing this with her eyes instead of speaking up when she should have. What a fucking quack job. And then we got this lady on the front cover that wants what? Not equality. She wants to be pissed off after doing all of this artificial crap, all of this superficial bullshit. That, yeah, she finds out men are not responsive to that. And you want to talk about the hookup culture. Well, what are you bringing to the table? What does a man possibly have to gain from being in a relationship with you? You stand everything to gain. You get a piggy bank. You get a piggy bank. You get a Mr. Fix-It. You get someone to bitch at when you're not being treated like a princess. You expect him to take part in your hobbies, but you won't let him have his. When you want to throw a tantrum and take a break from him, you're allowed. When he does it, he must be cheating. Well, how about if he doesn't leave the house? That way you don't accuse him of cheating. Say he tries to get some R&R with video games. Well, he can't do that. How dare he? He's acting like a child and avoiding his problems. No matter what we do, it is wrong. And society tells us that no matter what you do to us, we're supposed to take it. And then we're supposed to pick up rifles and go to foreign countries and kill foreign children. To protect you from what? From what? Men are getting brain damage from long-term abuse. From having to be afraid if they tell on a female predator that they will be criticized and ostracized by their friends, by their family, and by law enforcement. How many men have admitted that they have to be afraid in their abusive relationships to tell on their wife? You got two choices there. Number one, you can call the police and say, hey, she's beating on me. She throws on the fucking tear jerkers for 30 seconds and your ass is going to jail for domestic violence. If you leave, you're a fucking deadbeat. You're a loser who left her with all the bills. Well, holy shit, between getting fucking beaten twice a week by a woman who thinks that she gets a free hit against a man, gets reset twice a week, and then you have them couple of nights a month where she decides that it resets every half a second and she can rapid fire fucking smack you or hit you. Oh, and it's magically legal, isn't it? Cops asking guys, did she do it open-handed? Really? It doesn't matter if it was open-handed or not, it's still fucking assault. Why aren't you hauling her off to jail? Well, she's the one crying. Jesus fucking Christ. So we're going to ignore the law. We're going to make our decisions based on whether or not a girl cries. She's not getting her meth fast enough or in enough quantities. So she wants your money for groceries, for insurance for her car. Then you send her the money and she asks you if you know where to get some meth. Holy shit. That is so fucked up. God bless America, right? And we got the lady whose picture is on the front cover of this. Again, I got to bring this up. Talking about how being lusted over is giving her brain damage. What, you gonna assume after dressing up like a $2 whore that people are lusting after you and you've got brain damage from it? The brain damage is in the fact that you tried to make yourself look like a $2 hooker and go out in public to begin with. And then expect that nobody's gonna look at you like you're a fucking hooker. And don't pretend that that's sexism against women. If a man goes out dressed like that, he's gonna get looked at the same. Men get ostracized for doing that. If a man does that, he's called a metrosexual. Rude. And we get to hear, oh, I couldn't date a man who takes more time to get dressed up than I do. If he takes more time to get ready than I do, oh my God, I could not date a man like that. You can't date any kind of man. Every kind of man that exists, you've decided is a horrible monster and there's something wrong with him. Either he's too dominant or he's too effeminate. You want a dominant femme man. Well, that's just weird. We have given free rein of women to harm men whenever they want. Men have to be afraid to turn in women predators, including their wives or girlfriends, or even mothers or sisters. Because nobody is going to believe them. And even if they do, they're going to ostracize that man for speaking up. Because boys don't cry. Boys don't get hurt. Boys walk it off. Words don't hurt boys. They only hurt girls. Threats against a man's life and assaults against a man and his family, they don't mean shit. What matters is whether or not the pretty girl got right when she wanted it. You get how a lot of dynamics with other people doing fucked up shit had such a bearing on my ability to comprehend what was going on. I mean, I've got Erin Cockerham claiming she's going to help me. And I got Layla Johnson claiming she's going to help me. And I got Dan Faber claiming he's going to help me. None of them helped me to turn it in. That's what I needed. A safe place to process the evidence and somebody to help me to turn it in who would actually look at the fucking evidence. There's lots of people that looked at the evidence but never tried to turn it in. Lots of people who commented on it and said, you should turn that into the police. I fucking tried. They gave me the mentally ill treatment. Then you tell me that, well, it's my fault because I have a trauma reaction when the cops show up. That's because I'm alone and because they intentionally trigger it by pretending I'm a bad guy or by talking over me or by not writing down the names of any of the witnesses or any of the predators. This country is disgusting. And the fact that we have taught women that it is okay to be superficial monsters and then treat us like we're all superficial monsters. You try to project for the kind of man that you're interested in. If you make yourself into a superficial person and paint yourself to look up like somebody that you're not, you are being superficial and therefore will attract a superficial man. If you are trying to dress sexy, the word sex is in that. Just like if a man tries to dress sexy, the word sex is in that. He's trying to look good for a potential mate. Just like she's trying to look good for a potential mate. Both of them are trying to dress for the potential mate that they would most likely, in their own minds, get along with. Like emos hanging out with emos, cheerleaders hanging out with cheerleaders, jocks hanging out with jocks, nerds hanging out with nerds. People who like playing poker together. People who like playing Magic the Gathering together. You find common ground. What we've got now is not finding common ground. It's a lot of people being victimized and blaming the other victims. Like, oh, if you would just shut up about being victimized, then maybe I would get heard. When you've got a Boulder police officer who assaults 7 people, and 5 of those people are going at each other's throats over who's more victimized, it really ends up pretty screwed up. Then we get the legal muff diving of people like Darren O'Connor. He and I were going to work together to get some cameras so that we could record the abuse by police on the streets. Even after Natalie's death, he never came forward about that. He was involved in multiple situations after Natalie's death that he never came forward with. On the bright side, I recorded him and I put it up. I also saved the words of his friend, Evan Ravitz, about he and Evan Ravitz not being friends anymore because Darren O'Connor slandered his name. Then there's the stuff with Christine Buhey, where she talks about how the homeless people aren't happy with Darren O'Connor. Well, that's because he sold us all out for a racist narrative. Oh, that was a cool car. Somebody just drove by and they had a Ghostbusters decal on the side. Pretty cool. We ain't afraid of no ghosts. Something strange in the neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! There's something weird and it don't look good. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! We ain't afraid of no ghosts. Alright, I'm sorry for that happy interlude. Very serious situation. And of course, I did go all ADOS over a sticker on the side of someone's vehicle. Might just be a mag. Pretty cool, though. Now let's get back to this lady who wants to try to present herself as someone she's not and then talk about the superficiality of men. Or that she's being lusted after. You are literally trying to make yourself presentable enough to be lusted after. Do you never lust after anyone or anything? Don't lie. Do you go to the men's gym instead of using the stuff that's in your apartment? Because you're doing it for you, or is it because you want to be looked at? Because you want attention? Do you start a fight at the street dance with your husband and start smacking him in public? Instead of doing that at home? Are you or are you not doing that for attention? You're trying to demasculate him, dehumanize him. To cut off his balls in public. To punish him for some unseen slight. I was at a street dance once where a woman was beating on her husband in front of God and everybody. Nobody did a thing. She was pissed off because he told her she had too much to drink. What does a man get out of having a long-term relationship or even a marriage with you? What does he stand to gain out of that? He's going to work his whole life for somebody who's going to put on a pretty act until she gets what she wants. And he's trapped in the relationship. You can't leave. She'll take all your stuff. You say half of it, but really, you're not going to split the half the bills on the house, and you're not going to be able to afford it yourself, and neither will she. She's more likely to have another boyfriend on the side by the time you break up, though. That's human dynamics here in the United States. Actual studies being taken, being shown. Women tend to not leave a relationship until they have another one lined up or already started. A man tends to leave a relationship when he is fed up with her incessant fucking bullshit. You are not a fucking princess. When your husband comes home after a hard day's work so that he can provide a work environment that is safe for you, a home environment that is safe for you, a roof over your head, even if you have to contribute to that too. When he gets home and it's Operation Serve Her. And then we've got women who don't know how to cook. I'm not saying that women should all know how to cook, but I'm saying if you're going to bitch about how women are expected to do all this stuff like cleaning the house and cooking, you better be cleaning the house and cooking if you're going to bitch about it. Because you're not complaining about anything that you're doing. You're not slaving over a hot stove to make sure that he's got a beautiful 6-course or 8-course fucking dinner. Some days when he gets home, he feels lucky that he can cook himself a box of macaroni and fucking cheese. And when he makes 2 boxes so that you can eat some too, you'll bitch at him about that, won't you? He can do no right. Then you expect expensive gifts that show you he loves you. Buying you an $1,100 necklace and $1,400 earrings and a $2,200 wedding ring and a $2,200 engagement ring and a $2,200 special band to braze them both together with silver and gold, or just gold. And you all this expensive shit. Our society tells us that that is what a man exists for. To go to foreign countries and to die. For you women to be allowed to treat us like this. For your right to treat us like this. What do we have to gain? We already are expected to give up our lives for you. What more could you possibly ask for that is not selfish? Well, this lady is getting brain damage because she's fucking stuffed full of paranoia. She wants that, well, like those girls in Boulder, Colorado. They're 21 years of age or older. They're going into the Sundown Saloon. Of course they're 21 years of age or older. They check every ID at the door. And they show up. It's the middle of a snowstorm. It's colder than a cast iron commode on the shady side of an iceberg. She's wearing high-heeled shoes, which is very stupid on the Pearl Street Mall. You're going to break your heels or break your ankle. And then she's got the pleated miniskirt that, well, perverts like so much. And then she's got the poofy fucking jacket. Yes, she's got something on top, but her legs are freezing. And she's just doing that for her, right? Really? Then why are you going to a fucking bar dressed like that? You don't dress to manipulate if it's just for you. You don't go to a place where there's going to be an easy crowd of idiots to manipulate if it's just for you. If you get a tattoo that's just for you, you don't get it on your fucking forehead. You don't get it on the top of your hand. You're trying to project something at that point. Whether it's a man or a woman, when you get thug life tattooed across your knuckles, you are trying to present an image to others. That tattoo is not for you. That tattoo is meant to serve as a warning to others. Do turkeys go out there and fluff up their fans to try to attract a mate? And when she shows up, because it's the male turkeys that are, for the most part, or even a peacock. We'll use a peacock because you guys are more familiar with those. They're more beautiful, so it doesn't sound like I'm comparing you to a filthy animal as much, right? Well, it's the male peacocks that are the most beautiful, aren't they? And they puff up their plumage to try to attract a mate. Do they run away with their plumage up when a female comes up to them? Yes, a peacock can say, I'm not interested. If the peacock tells the peahen that he's not interested, that should be the end of it. You guys get to see in the actual messages between Natalie and I how I was duped, tricked, lied to, and manipulated every step of the way. And her friends and family took part in it. A bunch of web fucking wingnuts took part in it. All of this should have been monitored by the police. Should have been monitored by a friend or family member. Instead of me having to post it on YouTube and Facebook because none of my friends or family cared. Just like Natalie Bollinger's family, all they cared about was drug, alcohol, and of course, sex. They cared about not being embarrassed. Well, you have every reason to be ashamed. The fact that you're embarrassed instead of ashamed is expressed when you play stupid after the fact. It's because you are embarrassed. When you project and deflect onto others, because you're paranoid. You get to see here how this woman, she wants to do those things herself. But then she wants to pretend like she's getting brain damage from being lusted after. Are you sure it isn't just that you are a paranoid schizophrenic who believes every man lusts after you? I'm sorry, but you got a shitty attitude. You bring nothing to the table. I'm different than most men because most men, when all you're bringing to the table is your vagina, a lot of men will take that because they're desperate and lonely just like you. But I don't care about your vagina. So you can't manipulate me using your vagina. How is Jamie able to manipulate me? She tried using her vagina and it didn't work. So she used her son. Yeah. If you know she's a twisted ass lying bitch and you don't want nothing to do with her bullshit, then she's always got her children she can play on. What about my kids? Oh, he was threatening my kids. Really? Really? I think you're full of shit. And I want to see proof. You piece of shit. I told the truth about Leslie Snell and I tried to turn her in. So she lied and claimed that I was stalking her. Where have we heard this story before? We've taught every woman in America that she can do this. But it doesn't work for every American, does it? Certainly doesn't work for every American woman. When she's the pockmarked, fat Native American homeless woman down on the Pearl Street Mall, yeah, she can try that, but the reality is CJ was raped often. A lot of the women down there are. When Natalie Bollinger was idolizing the homeless life, it's because she hadn't lived it. She believed that the homeless life was freedom because at her house it was her dad doing drugs, getting drunk, beating her and raping her, making her sell drugs, going into debt because he was using drugs and trying to use drugs to try to get women like Danica Garner and Rochelle Shelley Campbell to have sex with him. His girlfriends were all women who were already addicts when he met them. He didn't start them on their addiction. They found him because he was a drug distributor, a drug salesman. Natalie Bollinger's mother and both of her stepmothers let me know about Ted. So did Alicia Bollinger. So did Natalie Bollinger. So did a lot of other people. Ted is bad news. You get to see how these people, all the things that they accused me of doing, how I hadn't done them. But they had, and their friends and family had. But that the police didn't care and my friends and family didn't care. And the only way to try to get heard was to act like my predators. It's only wrong if I do it. My predators can do it, call me mentally ill, say, oh, look at him, he looks like a child molester. Look at Natalie, she's so pretty, he must have wanted to have sex with her. You get to see in our messages how it was never about sex for me. About how between the two of us, the only one that wanted a more relationship than just friends was Natalie Bollinger. I've posted up screenshots today and yesterday between me and Natalie, and also between other witnesses like Joanna Taylor Smith. That joke that I made to Joanna Taylor Smith about making another Facebook account, which, by the way, did I follow Joanna Taylor Smith's instructions? Yes, I did. I made the Michelle Brannick profile. I was going to use it to destroy my profile so that Joanna Taylor Smith couldn't use that shit as an excuse to fan the flames of hatred and have Natalie and Alicia and Maddie harmed. I didn't want her to make their life hell. Or make their lives not easy, as Joanna Taylor Smith put it. Now I want you to look at all of the nut jobs that came on afterwards that wanted to go at each other's throats and threatened to kill each other and claimed they were trying to help me. No, all they were interested in was drama. That's all they cared about was drama. That's all Kara Johnson Miles cared about. That's all Cara Rogers cared about. That's all Layla Johnson cared about. That's all Aaron Cockerham cared about. That is all Dan Favorite cared about. It was entertaining and it was interactive entertainment. Hey, let's see if we can get the retard to run around in circles for false promises. I was treated like I lied about each and every one of these people and like they don't exist. From Joanna Taylor Smith to Dan Faber to Aaron Cockerham to Cara Rogers, and guess what? I recorded all of them. And I recorded Kayla Trujillo. I recorded the police. I recorded even a judge committing felonies in the courtroom for Leslie Snell. They had to drop the charges. Their mission was complete. All they had to do was gain access to my evidence. Hopefully, my paper evidence could be thrown away, and hopefully they could destroy anything on my computer that they didn't like, and they did. Lucky for me, Dallas Richmond went over to the hotel room and got all of my paper evidence. He also left the AR-15 underneath the bed there. So that hotel room in Sydney, Nebraska, for over 7 months, while I sat in jails and prisons, that AR-15 sat underneath that hotel room bed. Well, I tried to tell my lawyer about it. Well, shit, I couldn't get a hold of him for almost 40 days, and then he didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to hear it. What he wanted to do is say anything that he could say to try to intimidate me into doing nothing, and to let me know outright that he was not interested in doing his job whatsoever. What a piece of shit. We've gotten to hear, just on this channel alone, no less than a dozen government officials, people from Adult Protective Services, people from public pretenders' offices, police officers, and of course when we go in to fill out the paperwork and turn it in at the courts, no less than a dozen of these people wanted to claim that it would take an act of God. No, there is a legal fucking process. And the fact that you lied to me about the legal process and help to assist my predators in getting away with their felonies shows that you never should have been in the public pretender's office to begin with. None of them wanted to look at evidence. When I did have people that would go in with me to talk to the public pretenders and to make sure that I had a witness in case they pulled some shady shit, because they don't do their jobs for homeless men. They don't do their jobs for homeless men. They will repeatedly threaten, harass, and intimidate you to try to get you to plead guilty so they don't have to do anything. They will lie to you about legal processes, and they will make no effort whatsoever to actually put a serious effort into doing their jobs. There are fucking witnesses. Get a hold of them. So I'm cut off from all of my phone numbers and addresses and all of that because I'm locked up, right? Well, why don't you try to get that fucking evidence? Maybe try to look these people up. Look on my fucking Facebook. Do some fucking investigating and get a hold of these goddamn people. The cops refuse to do their jobs. Here in Tillamook, you get to see. No matter how many times I tell them about the crimes or the people who are there, they don't write down those names. They don't bother to investigate. They don't care. I'm a homeless male. I don't matter. I exist for victimizing, and that is all. And then over your paranoia or your wanting to play victim. Oh my God, I dressed up like a $2 whore. And there were people who were ugly that looked at me, not just the ones who are super, super good looking like a Hollywood movie star. Oh my God. One of the ugly ones with a beard and bald looked at me. Oh my God, he's probably a rapist. Oh, I just dressed up like this just for me. It's not sexual. I just wanted to look pretty is all. You went out of your way to try to look like a underage Catholic schoolgirl when you're 32. Yeah, that's definitely not just for you. That's for you to get attention. The same as that girl who cuts on herself is doing it to get attention. But what kind of attention and why? When you dress like that, you're puffing up your plumage for breeding attention. If a male peacock is pluffing up his plumage, and he's got 5 or 6 little peahens running around trying to get his attention, he gets his pick of the litter. He doesn't owe it to you to pick you. He's got options. Now, if there's 10 of these peacocks all strutting their stuff, there's only one peahen. She's the one with the options. In our society, well, we got a pretty equilateral proportion of men to women, don't we? We've got 10% of our society over-attentioned and over-sexed and complaining to the rest of us who are ignored that poor them, people are giving them attention. Oh, I don't want guys to buy me this stuff. They just do it for me. You definitely present yourself as a person who is superficial, painting your face on, wearing uncomfortable clothes. You want to compete. You want to look like something that you're not. You want to create or present the image of having a different physique than you have. But who are you catering to? Are you catering to men, or are you catering to superficial men who want you to look like a clown? Who want you to squeeze in that little bit of a poofy belly that you got? Who want you to accentuate your chest and stick it out just a little bit more? Who wants you to wear those god-awful, uncomfortable, high-heeled shoes? Yes, I've worn them. I will not. The moment I see a woman wearing high-heeled shoes, the same thing goes through my head that went through my head while I was wearing them. What a fucking idiot! What a fucking idiot! That's right, and I'm not sexist about that. And I don't have different rules for you than I have for me about that. When I talk about how something is wrong, and then I do that myself towards a different group, that's the group that's doing it. I'm giving them equality. You don't like it? Really? You think that my reaction is inappropriate for me to go to my friends or family? That's stalking? But if you go to your friends and family, it's trying to get help? If you slander my name to my friends and family to gaslight me, and I try to tell them the truth, but they won't listen because you gaslighted me, that doesn't make me the villain. That makes me the victim. And it makes me the victim of a lot of people at that point. When I got back from Virginia, the last thing that I expected is for people that I had never, ever done any harm to, ever, never wronged, had always looked out for and kept safe, treating me like I was some sort of a monster, threatening to kill me, assaulting me. Not just on the internet, you fuckwads. Over your paranoid delusions that every man is out to rape you. It's not my fault you're a sexist idiot. A lot of people agree with me in private, but publicly they keep up the charade. Why? Because while they tell me I shouldn't care what other people think, they all care what other people think. Why didn't these people who I came to for help, or who promised to help me and just never kept their word, or offered to harm people, which I am against? I have so much aggression, right? Aggression. I am at the end of my fucking rope with this bullshit. Y'all say that your hands are tied. No, they're not. You're holding onto the rope and my neck's at the other end. All you had to do was tell the truth at the start. The moment you started trying to hide it and coming up with any bullshit excuse, going out of your way to twist everything that I said into something completely different. You are a sick, twisted fuck. While I took actual abuse and went to my friends for help stopping actual abuse, Natalie went out of her way, and Alicia went out of her way, and Maddie went out of their way. They all three did this. Natalie pretended that I stalked her. The evidence shows that's a goddamn lie. Alicia claimed that I threatened to harm her and her family. The evidence shows that's a goddamn lie. Maddie Boa wanted to run around claiming that I threatened some little girl and her family in Virginia. Wanted to claim that I raped some girl in Virginia. Wanted to claim that I molested some little girl in Virginia. No. Maddie Boa planned the trip with me, and she didn't get to go because she was a fucking junkie and got busted by the cops being a junkie. What fucking horse shit. And then we got this crazy lady wanting to pretend like she's got brain damage over being lusted over. Are you fucking serious? Like that lady who wanted to fake a panic attack. She dresses up like a Playboy bunny and wants $800 a month for you to join her profile and see her sexy pics. She goes to a gym. She's not that good looking. She's not. She's definitely not Playboy material. Wants to talk about how men objectionalize her. How she went to the gym and this man was just perving on her. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. She was trying to play victim. She's like that lady when somebody said, "Excuse me, miss." And she wanted to start screaming at him as if he's a child molester or a rapist or there to fucking blow her up or fucking shoot her. When he walked away, she kept on yelling at him. By her own admission. That does sound like a situation I encountered in Hood River. Now, it wasn't over somebody leaving their wallet. It wasn't over somebody leaving their purse. It was over somebody dropping a pacifier. Fuck it. Excuse me, miss, you dropped a pacifier, but you don't get that far into it because she's already screaming. Fuck it. We'll leave your pacifier there, no biggie. I believe what I actually did was pick up the pacifier and take it back inside in case you came back looking for it. I want to go back and find that video, but it's going to take a while. That was all the way back in Hood River, and I make daily videos. A lot of them. Some days. Some days I don't get to make videos. Too busy. It happens. So there's that woman who wanted to yell at a man because he was 30 feet away in a parking lot who said, "Excuse me, miss." Kind of like being assaulted in the hospital. And you're being pushed and shoved and poked by a doctor who knows you have back injuries. My paperwork shows I got back injuries. Multiple pieces of paper from multiple hospitals. But that doctor didn't want to hear it. He just wanted to assault me because the lady from TFCC was playing mentally fucking retarded. All she was interested in was trying to force me to say that I wanted to kill myself, or that I was there to kill myself, or something that she could try to twist or manipulate into such a thing. And when I refused, that's when she got an attitude, he got an attitude, and I was assaulted. Got yelled at, told I gotta leave the hospital. Well, then don't fucking poke me. Stop yelling at me. I'm on the way out. You don't have to be a fucking asshole. Asking me nicely works. Coming into the room yelling at me does not. Meanwhile, who is the junkie? Who is it that in all of this did not have any fucking dirty whiz quizzes? When I was at the hospital in Virginia, they didn't take a whiz quiz, though they should have. When I was in the hospital in Haxton, Colorado, trying to get Candace Bonder on, explaining to her, hey, I need to take a whiz quiz. I need to prove that I'm not on fucking drugs. When I was in the hospital in Julesburg, no whiz quiz. When I was at the hospital in Haxton, obviously no whiz quiz there. When I was in the hospital in Longmont, again, no urinalysis, no whiz quiz. That's what the whiz quiz is. It's the UA. You pee in a cup, they find out what drugs you're on. When I was in Rawlins, Wyoming, again, no whiz quiz, no blood test. Nothing. Hospital after hospital after hospital. Not testing my urine or my blood for drugs or alcohol. Instead, just making excuses. He must be, because the officer said he is. Do you bother to stop and find out if I'm trying to turn in those officers? No, because by that point, the officers have already told you, oh, he's mentally ill and schizophrenic and delusional. And instead of doing their jobs, they just assume it's the truth and don't bother to find out and won't hear a word that you have to say because they've already assumed that you're schizophrenic and delusional. You get to see how when Natalie Bollinger asked for help, her friends and family got a hold of me to threaten to kill me, threaten to kill my family, pretended like I was the one stalking her. And the more people did that, you get to see how at the very beginning, how not only as a good victim does, I took the blame for my predators. All of it. At the very beginning, I took all the blame, hoping that if I took all the blame, the predators would stop. They didn't. They just kept it up. On the bright side, we got women like that one at the gym who wanted to pretend that that man was some sort of a pervert. Meanwhile, she trolls on the internet to try to get perverts to stare at her and give her money. And then she talks about how she's sick of being objectionalized and how it's gross and how she has panic attacks. You are a internet whore and you find men disgusting for objectifying women while you dress like a fucking whore and expect $800 a month from men to pay you to see you dressing like a what? You don't want me to hear that word again. You don't want me to say it again. Obviously, I'm worked up. Obviously, I'm having communication issues. But I'm sick of this shit. Just like that lady in the red dress wanting to scream about some guy. Some guy. Jesus fucking Christ. If you're dressed like a $2 hooker and a man says, "Hey, excuse me, miss," or you're dressed to go to a fancy ballroom dinner and somebody says, "Excuse me, miss," in neither of those occasions is what that man said indicating that he wants to rape you like a $2 whore. In neither of those occasions is he saying anything at all that would indicate that he has any interest in anything evil or horrible. But you want to be paranoid and you want to destroy innocent men's lives because you're paranoid. And in most of these cases, you're not paranoid. You want attention. You want to look like the victim and you want to say, "Oh, look, I caught a pervert man." Oh. Well, how many of them sex offender catching sites have gotten a hold of me? Used someone with a falsetto voice. I don't fall for that shit. I'm smarter than that. However, Amanda Daniels, her brother was not smarter. Oh yeah, and he was a pervert who wanted to try to entice that person who was pretending to be a 9-year-old to show her goodies. And Amanda Daniels wants to use that sick, perverted fuck as her excuse why she never came forward. Right. On the bright side, I told the truth about these situations and the manipulations and people's fears. I also told about their predators and their fears of those predators. I am the hero I needed as a kid. As a child, I needed somebody like me, except somebody with more resources, I suppose. All the resources that people tried to help me with at the very beginning, I was cut off from. My friends and family cut me off from those resources. So did internet wingnuts, the police, and the Bollingers. At the very beginning, it was a lot of harm towards me that everyone wanted to look away from, or admit that they saw and how horrible it was and just say sorry, but no attempt to turn it in. When I acted like that, I was treated like I was a horrible person. A lot of people wanted to promise to help me, and then all they did was talk about themselves. And then they wanted to be angry when I showed that that's the help that I got. I can't believe you told my personal business. If it's your excuse for not coming forward and telling the truth, it's not your personal business. I'm being harmed because you want to pretend that's your personal business. It's not. You're a witness, dumbass. There are a lot of people speaking up, but then we've got these man-hater groups that go through and try to destroy everything that a male victim says. When a male is victimized by a female, you do everything that you can to prevent him from showing actual evidence, to prevent him from going to court, even if it means arresting him and then serving him papers while he's in jail. Or pretending that he's schizophrenic so that his predators automatically win. Or you make a fake history by not allowing that man to go to his court date, like Alicia Bollinger and all of that bullshit. Natalie Bollinger, I wasn't allowed to go to that court date. I didn't even know I fucking had one. I didn't even know she was in fucking Colorado. Then there's the fact that the laws surrounding that were not applied. There's also the fact that all of the people that I had gone to told me that the government shut down until the first of the year. Jeff Ritter told me that him and Kara Heller couldn't do anything about it until after the first of the year. Natalie was killed before the first of the year. The court date I didn't know I had happened before the first of the year. It happened on the 22nd of December of 2017. I didn't even know I had a court date. That's how badly that whole situation went down with the protection order. No, that was a fucking cop and some guy coming in when Natalie pretended she was going to come see me. And that cop and that guy showed up to fucking threaten, harass, and intimidate me, refused to hear anything that was going on. I'd been trying to turn in these predators for over a year by that point. They had already driven me to the point of being suicidal. By November of 2016. The records at the Sydney hospital show that. They also show that they released me after about 2.5 hours. That I was not trying to commit suicide. And that they sent me to people who were supposed to help me. Region 1, Nebraska. With Tamara as a caseworker. And Nicole Peralta is my therapist. That $100 the King of Nickels sent me so that I could make it to therapy in Nebraska. She sent that to me a day before Natalie disappeared. And then she never came forward about it. Oh, also, I didn't get to go see Nicole Peralta. Because of all of that money getting spent to run around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to make Lana Engeline happy, Amanda Engeline happy, trying to make Kayla Trujillo happy, trying to make Cara Rogers happy, trying to make Danica Garner happy and Rochelle Shelley Campbell happy, trying to make all these people happy so that maybe they'll help me like they promised and they didn't. Fuck all of you.